One of the areas where I think Splatoon 3 has done a pretty good job is the new weapons they've added to the game. I think there's so many interesting concepts and amazing ideas on display here, but one of the most interesting ones to me is the Splatana Stamper. Not only is the main weapon very cool, but the design attributes of this weapon extends into its kit more than potentially any other weapon in the Splatoon series, and I think it's worth talking about. So today, I'm going to break down why Splatana Stamper is such a satisfying weapon and the smart choices they made to give it its own unique identity. If you like the video, consider subscribing to help support the channel, and let's get started. Before we get into the main attributes, it's worth mentioning that the sound design and look of the weapon is pretty cool. The Splatana Stamper is based off of, well, a stamper, but the way it revs up and stuff obviously can resemble a chainsaw, which is a neat detail. A lot of its sound effects are very satisfying because of it, and I think they do a good job making the weapon sound and look powerful. It even has really subtle details, such as actually displaying different inkling letters on the weapon itself, so it functions as a real stamping tool. It's just worth noting how cool the base design for this thing already is before we get into the weapon. As a Splatana, it has some of the most amount of options for a main weapon. You have the horizontal slash and charge slash, both of which have an up close and far away variation, with the charge slash also having a dash. Because of that, Stamper has a lot of different options in its toolkit immediately. They decided to keep this weapon a bit more mid-range and a bit slower than the much faster Wiper, and I mean the upper end of mid-range. Charge slash can actually match some backline range like Jet Squelcher, just with a slower shot velocity, while the horizontal range comfortably fights other mid-range weapons like Splattershot Pro and Dually Squelcher. Up close, obviously, it has a one-shot that, paired with the dash, gives it a decent bit of range, and like the other Splatana, it excels very well at camping under ledges both up close and afar. Generally, Splatanas do good either really up close where they can one-shot and dash around you, or at their effective range, which in this case for Splatana Stamper is about mid-range. The area in the middle is where its kill time weakness can become a bit of a problem. When it can't one-shot you, it has to go for a charge slash combo, which can be very difficult to hit both parts of, and even that has a bit of a wind-up. Okay, so that's all the basics of the weapon. So what's the identity of Splatana Stamper? When you think of the weapon, what should be the first thing that comes to your mind? To me, it's combos. Obviously, the charge slash and horizontal slash combo into each other, which is pretty standard, but when it extends to the kit, you would be surprised how many things combo. A burst bomb direct is able to combo into an up-close horizontal slash for a quick kill. A burst bomb medium hit can either combo with a charge slash or two horizontal slashes, since it does the same amount of damage. This sub in particular has its own utility, since it can hit places that the Splatana Stamper's main weapon can't, mainly dealing with people in cover. When used up close, it's a great way to combo into the horizontal slash to do a burst of high damage, especially fighting slightly weakened opponents. While at a distance, it's great for getting opponents stuck to be hit by the charge slash follow-up with its low shot velocity, so it's a way of making up for that weakness. The outside hit of Burst Bomb doesn't combo too well though, but that's a very small hitbox you'll very rarely have. On top of that though is Zipcaster. Especially since the Zipcaster damage buff, this special now works with it perfectly. Passing through someone does 60 damage, very close to comboing with any other part of the toolkit, including itself. Zipcaster charging through people, being decently up close or traveling a decent amount away, allows you to be able to one-shot people with the caster now, comboing the pass-through damage with the explosion damage. Since it does 60 damage, like with the Burst Bomb direct, this can also combo with the charge slash, but the indirect radius now, more often than not, is going to be doing at least 30 damage, meaning that, like the Burst Bomb medium and direct hit, will combo with two horizontal slashes or one charge slash. You can even try to zip to hit people 2 times and finish them off with a horizontal slash, typically in the middle of it, which is pretty satisfying. For the charge slash one shot, obviously the ability to get much closer to enemies is very useful for it, so if you're going up close with Zipcaster, you also have the opportunity to go for one shots on people, which gives you very fast follow-ups to those trying to clean up your kill after you might get someone with the Zipcaster first. On top of that, now that Zipcaster does good damage up close, more mid-range weapons that are also able to threaten to damage at a distance become even more effective with it. Now you have to worry about a Stamper going up close and trying to one-shot or combo you, or staying at a distance and pressuring you at mid-range, being able to switch between these two modes at any time. And finally, even the landing has synergy with the weapon, as you can charge slash dash immediately upon your Zipcaster recall, giving you an option every time you go back. And technically, if you want to be very niche, you can even combo burst bombs into Zipcaster by burst bombing and then popping the Zipcaster special. It's ridiculous how much synergy this entire kit has with itself. It's more than anything else in the entire series. This is what I think makes the flow of Stamper so natural. Every part of the kit plays into the other, so it's very easy to get a solid gameplay loop once you get down the combos, and a lot of getting good at the weapon is getting used to the different timings, not accidentally getting too greedy with your Zipcaster, and being aware of all the different options options you have and picking the right ones in each encounter. This results in an incredibly unique and fun playstyle where it feels like you always have so many options at your disposal that you're always able to learn from each engagement you take. Do you know what else this weapon had that was dealt with well? Nerfs. Yeah, Splatana Stamper was really good, especially during crab meta when it was exceptionally good at dealing with that special due to its high object damage. And I think the devs did a good job nerfing this weapon. It got an ink efficiency nerf and a slight hitbox nerf to the horizontal slash. Nothing about these nerfs takes away from any of the combos and playstyle that was mentioned, but it gives it an important attribute: downtime. For mid-range weapons, especially those that can control space quite well, they can become very oppressive to short-range weapons. This is something we saw a lot, especially in Splatoon 2 with main power, and I think ink efficiency is a great way to nerf these weapons because it forces them to be a little bit more careful with what they're doing without taking away their options. Stamper can still do pretty much everything it did before, outside of double burst bomb in most of its fights. It just has a bit more of a cooldown on it, so managing what time you're popping out adds a bit more of skill expression to what the Stamper could do while keeping all of its options and strategies available. While this did hit the Zipcaster's duration a bit, with 2 subs of special power-up, I think it has plenty as is, and works totally fine. And while we're talking about nerfs to other parts of its kit, the burst bomb nerf also works for this weapon quite well, as I think Stamper with 2 burst bombs at its disposal was probably the most broken thing about it pre-patch, and usually in fights now, it only has access to 1 of them. The cheap cost, of course, is still very useful with how ink-hungry the weapon is, but it's useful enough to where you're gonna get value out of it, and occasionally you can still double burst bomb for teammates. Finally, in the most recent patch, it got 2 10 points for special. This is a great thing. A lot of weapons in Splatoon 3 have a problem of getting their special too fast. Like, a lot of them. Looking at you, shooters. Hello, Junior. Hello, V-Shot. Hello, Nzap. Hello, Splash-O-Matic. Hello, V-Jet. Hello, Oh wait, they actually fixed Squeezer. Tangent aside, Stamper is something you do have to worry about special spam on, possibly even more than some of these shooters, because it paints pretty damn far away. If it got hold of something like Tenna Missiles, it could easily get a ton of them in a game and devolve into a poor playstyle. Not only does 210 help fix that by making it work for the special a bit, but it's that paired with the ink efficiency nerfs that really make sure the downtime is fair. And while it can paint a good bit at once, it has to wait in between the time it has to spend recovering its ink. This leads to a rather balanced special output. Stamper to me is a weapon that has a core sense of identity, a well thought out kit, and a solid history of patch changes so far that have left it in one of the best spots in the game. It's a strong weapon that doesn't feel too oppressive, requires a certain amount of dedication to play, with a unique playstyle that gives you more options than anything else in the game. To me, that's what I think makes it the perfect weapon. Thanks for watching.